Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliezer, best known as the Baal Shem Tov, lived in the 18th century in the Carpathian Mountains with his wife. Day after day he would travel from village to village teaching the young men Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. One day, before he left the house, his wife said to him, "Yisrael, I want you to come home early. I want you to come home because tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and I want you to light candles with me. Can you be home by sunset?" He opened the door, he looked outside, he saw that the clouds were so heavy and that a storm was definitely looming. He said, "If I don't make it back by sunset, you light the candles, you say the prayers." With that, he left. He walked through the paths that he knew so well since he was a child. And he went from village to village teaching all day long, and that storm came. And all day long as he moved about, more and more snow began to pile up. But this was his work. Towards the end of the day, and when his students actually felt that it was treacherous for him to be leaving, they said, "Please stay, don't go." But he insisted. He put on his hat, his scarf, his coat, and he trudged out in the snow, trying to get home to his wife. During the day, she had watched the storm as well. She had cooked the meal and prepared everything in the house, and she saw that the weather was really turning ugly. And so she prepared for the event if he didn't come home. She put the Chanukiah on the windowsill where it needed to be, and she prepared the matches and the candles. At sunset, when he was nowhere to be seen, she took her match, struck it, lit the helper candle known as the shamash, and she lit the first candle on the right. And then she placed the shamash in this middle holder, and she blessed it. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, O Lord. And then, the lights went out. Everything was dark. She picked up her matches, she fumbled, she struck the light, and to her amazement, the Chanukiah was gone. Lit candles and all. She quickly lit the lantern. She held it up. The window was shut. The door was shut. She looked all around. She said, "This is very mystical indeed, and I hope my husband comes home soon, because only he will be able to answer such an occurrence." She opened the door and stood in the light of the storm, and she held her lantern up and waited, hoping to have a glimpse of her husband. In the meantime, he had become frozen to the bone. The snow had piled up all around him, so much snow so that he completely was disoriented. And then he began to pray, pour out his heart in the way that only he had done as a young boy when he became orphaned, praying for the Almighty to come and give him some form of a sign. Shortly thereafter, as he continued to trudge along, he noticed a light shining on that blanket. He looked and he thought, is it a mirage? Is there really something out there? But he began to follow, and he had his faith, and he kept praying. And as he got closer, he noticed the shape of a man, and that man was holding a menorah that was lit. And as he got even closer, well, he noticed, and he was so thankful, and he continued his prayers, and he said, "This is a miracle. Mattatyahu, the father of Judah, the proud Maccabee, standing in front of me with a lit menorah. And that man, Judah the Maccabee, the Jewish high priest, beckoning him to come forward and follow." And so, with prayers of thanks, the Baal Shem Tov did follow Mattatyahu. And as he walked, he soon began to see shapes of houses and perhaps some of his community. And then he noticed a doorway open, and it was lit, and a woman, a shadow of a woman standing. So he called out, "Leah Rachel, is that you?" "Yes." "Yisrael ben Eliezer, is that you?" "Yes, thank God, I'm home." She took her scarf and she trudged out into the snow to greet him with her lantern. And then she grasped him, and he was frozen to the bone. And as she led him back towards the house, she told him about how their Chanukiah, lit candles and all, had vanished. And could he explain that? He began to chuckle and said, "Could you explain that Mattatyahu, the father of proud Judah the Maccabee, led me home to safety?" Just as they got to the doorway, suddenly an unseasonable gush of air pushed the two of them straight through the door, whirling them around several times and depositing them right in front of the windowsill. The wind quietly pushed the door shut. They looked, for there on their windowsill was the Chanukiah with 2 freshly lit candles. This was a miracle. She looked at her husband and said, "Can we still say the prayers?" He said, "It's late, but it's still early enough. Yes, we can." The two of them said the 3 blessings for the first night. And then, by sitting at the fire and eating and spending the rest of the night talking about the mystical occurrences that had happened to both and what were the meanings. And then the Baal Shem Tov continued to regale that story for years to come to his students and followers.